Hello everybody, my name is Shortland614. Welcome to a Minor Monday progress report for the Kaiserreich mod for Hearts of Iron 4. So, Serbia is getting a bit of an update, not a rework, it's an update. I made that mistake at like 2 a.m., but we're not going to talk about that. So I'm just going to read this out. Another addition to the upcoming 0.13 update, the new and improved content for the nation of Serbia. Much of this was implemented by Alfania KR, and this is written by Carmain 2K14. So, I'm just going to go through this real quick, and just so if you don't want to go ahead and reading this. So, why a Serbian update? Well, I should preface by saying this is not a Serbian rework. I made that mistake at 2 a.m. All the old lore, the occupation, and the establishment of King Bolshevik's regency still applies. The changes have been made to better bring Serbia in line with the other Balkan nations in terms of its content. Serbia's content was largely ported over from Darkest Hour, and it's beginning to show its age. In addition, there used to be little reason to pick any other path other than Alexander's coronation, as it had the most interesting content and no drawbacks. So, the new early game. So, Serbia's starting situation has been changed. So this is the starting situation. You have Petar Božović in charge, and Austria's watchful eyes. So, though on paper the Austrians left Serbia over a decade ago, they are still here, keeping their eye on a people that caused the Weltkrieg. With the slaying of their beloved Archduke Franz Ferdinand, at any moment the Habsburgs could send their army over the Danube into Belgrade, ending our fragile independence. So, at the beginning of the game, you're kind of under the... not necessarily directly under the thumb of Austria, but Austria is certainly still there. Political parties and popularities have been adjusted, and the old Serbian nationalism starting spirit has been replaced by Austria's watchful eye, representing the crippling influence Austria still has over Serbia, despite the occupation ending over a decade ago. So basically, in the Kaiserreich universe, Serbia was occupied until the mid-20s by Austria, and then it withdrew. As with most of the European nations, Black Monday serves as an instigator for content. So, Black Monday hit Serbia, so I'm going to read this out. Ever since the end of the Weltkrieg, our economy has been a troubled one. The immense devastation left a huge void for us to fill. Our industry was obliterated, and a whole generation was lost to the horrors of war. Nonetheless, we managed to partially recover, and under Petar Božović, a stable though weakened economy has been reconstructed, based primarily on the kind of lucrative agricultural exports that sustained us before the war. The collapse of the German stock market has undone all that work. The evaporation of the biggest markets for our produce is beginning to collapse in our largest economic sector, and our lack of industrialization has exposed the underlying weakness of the recent economic reforms. The only thing that has saved off a complete collapse, as seen in Germany, is Serbia's relative isolation, which has helped protect some of the key industries. Finance Minister and Vice President of the flagging Belgrade Stock Exchange, Milan Stanovovic, is preparing a series of austere emergency measures to stabilize the dinar, and get the economy back on track, which we are expected to approve by the regent when they are ready. So that is the Black Monday event. Though this is mainly due to the dire effect on Austria rather than Belgrade, the Habsburg army retreats from the Serbian border, demobilized to save money in the crisis, and Serbia is once more free to pursue its own interests. So, all quiet on the front. Last month, the slow Austrian withdrawal from the border left many stunned and confused. A new arrangement appears to have remained. With the Habsburgs facing their comeuppance in the name of increased national unrest, they've left merely a skeleton crew guarding over our borders. It's clear that the everlasting watchful eye over Belgrade has moved on, and we're finally free of Vienna's yoke after 20 years of oppression. But what to do with this newfound freedom? Petar Božović, our long-standing regent in Vojvoda, has been asked a million questions and has few answers to give. He knows that Austria will most likely be backed, and in greater numbers. So our window of opportunity is small. That window is shrunk further still by the impact of Black Monday, which has left us also weakened. He can't appear to be weak and ineffective in the face of this golden opportunity, and thus it is expected Bolshevik will make the political moves in the coming weeks to cement Serbia's independence. And that is almost certainly going to get rid of the national spirit. At the same time, unrest grows in the Serbian majority region of Montenegro, which, at the beginning of the game, is owned by Illyria, which is a puppet of Austria. It's one of the constituent nations of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which is it's basically Croatian Yugoslavia, or the Union of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes if it was under control of Austria-Hungary, and dominated by Croats. So growing unrest in Montenegro, ever since this Illyria is going to get this event, or Illyria, or I think Austria, one of those two. Ever since we created the Crown of Illyria, we hope that ethnic conflict in the South Slavic lands would dissipate. Largely, this has been the case, as the insurrectionist radical movements have been dissolved and the previously anti-Vienna groups have switched their allegiances. But it's clear this isn't the case in the region of Montenegro, long dogged by pro-Serbian activity. So Montenegro was annexed after the Weltkrieg. So over the last couple of years, activity in the Serbian-Montenegrin Unionist People's Party has bolstered its numbers, despite our attempts to suppress the organization. They oppose the Croat-dominated Assembly of Illyria and subsequently fight a perceived lack of voice in national affairs. In addition, they recently solidified control over the regional parliament, making their actions a bit more irritating. We have no proof that suggests the recent uptick in unrest has been encouraged by the rump Serbian state, but they would surely attempt to capitalize on unrest if this gets much worse. So that's that. If desired, the player can choose the risky option and subtly intervene, resulting in Montenegro's peaceful secession from the Austrian dominion and subsequent reunification with Serbia. So, this is, if they take this route, Montenegro, which is right there, which begins as part of Illyria, should go ahead and join Serbia, which is nice because you're going to get a coastline and all that stuff. And probably I don't know if, and it's another state to put factories in. Vienna isn't pleased, naturally. So this is a telegram from Vienna. So for the last couple of days, Voivoda Božović has been worriedly waiting for an Austrian response to the events in Montenegro. Today he has received an answer, and thankfully thus it's a positive one. Kaiser Karl has sternly criticized the Union, claiming Montenegro has undermined the decade of investment and opportunity it has received under the Crown of Illyria. However, he has maintained his resolve for a peaceful resolution like we had speculated. Austria, for now, has at least given up their claim on Montenegro and will not be conducting military intervention into our lands. That being said, the telegram has made one threat, that being the incidents against Croatian and Bosnian citizens within the Serbian-Montenegrin Union will be seen as incidents against the citizens of the Empire and will be dealt as such. So you're going to get that event after you annex Montenegro. So, however, they're too preoccupied to take military action on a largely peaceful transition so soon after Black Monday. Serbia has its own economic problems to deal with, and they have some robust methods to help their mainly agrarian economy recover. So, rural credit grants in all the various provinces, which is pretty nice. That will help alleviate Black Monday. So, conspiracies in Belgrade. This is the next major thing. One would think Austria's withdrawal from Serbian affairs would strengthen Božović's hold over the nation, but instead it emboldens various organizations to plot against the regency. Over the autumn and winter of 1936-1937, an event chain plays out to decide the path of Serbia going forwards. I won't spoil the event chain, so let's skip to the end of the results. So, this is the starting event to this chain, so conspiracies abound. For the last decade, Serbian politics has more or less been stable underneath the Vojvoda. Yugoslavism and the perceived royalism of the defeated People's Radical Party was deemed too dangerous by the Austrians. So Božović built his government on a new party, the Conservative Central Serbian Nationalist Party. Sorry about that. Supported by a military established and various right-wing dissident groups. For the past 10 years, political representation and liberal democracy have worked to consolidate the SNS and subsequently Božović's control of the nation. But something had to ruin our carefully built but slowly waning establishment, and that event was Black Monday. Though we're on the road to recover, many have lost faith in the National Party, even under the new youthful leadership of the former mayor of Niš, Dragosa Setovic. On one side, the Democrats and radicals have reoccupied some of the supporters that left him at the end of the occupation, and are now presenting a more cohesive opposition to Božović. On the other hand, the presence of many secret, usually royalist societies are a major concern that the Vojvoda's control over the armed forces. As rumors circle in Belgrade, it's clear that Peter Božović's hold over the nation has never been weaker, and basically it's going to be an event chain. And then you can basically return the crown prince, which is pretty nice, get the monarchy back. The Vojvoda stands tall, which is basically Peter Božović remains in power, and then the Republican Proclamation, where you become a republic. So, the royalists. And General Petar Živković, a fervent royalist, has invited the former Crown Prince Alexander back to the country, who is crowned as a new king to Austria's ire. And this is what he's going to look like, Alexander II. What a gamer. Empowered by a loyal cabinet, Alexander creates a new party, the Serbian Radical Peasants' Party, and forms a personal royalist dictatorship. A modernizer, Alexander wishes to bring the backward agrarian nation to the modern age while explicitly stoking Yugoslav sentient, which is pretty nice. Yugoslavia. Among the population, Alexander's previous democratic path has been removed as it didn't really make sense in the context of return and coronation. So, this is the event, the crowning of Alexander. When Crown Prince Alexander returned to Serbia a couple days ago, it was all cause for national celebration. The streets were lined with thousands all hailing the return of the Crown Prince, flags flying in the air and patriotic songs being sung among the crowds. The people of Belgrade have certainly not forgotten their loyalty to the House of Karavoljic. After such a prominent national celebration, Petar Božović only had one option open to him. With elaborate plans already drafted up by the Prime Minister Žiža Voljic, today they were put into action. After a ceremony that lasted several hours, Alexander was formally crowned the Kingdom of Serbia, the new king of Serbia, finally sitting in the throne that remained empty for over a decade. Božović formally enshrined the new king with temporal power as he wielded his regent, and the aging voivoda has announced his retirement from political and military affairs. Internationally, the response was mixed. As expected, we received nothing but outrage from the Serbian embassy the last few days, though it appeared the Habsburgs aren't going to try and mobilize against us for the restoration. In more positive news, we received large congratulations from King Kerbal II of Romania, a friend of the new king, which will no doubt help promote Balkan unity in the years to come. So that's the event. This is Alexander's vision, which basically means the political party changes. It will be known as that now, Serbian Radical Peasants Party. And the king will come back and try to work Serbia into the modern age, and then you can do this, which is you can encourage Yugoslavism, so that's pretty nice. And war support and reduce the cost of integration decisions, which is pretty nice. So here are the Republicans. So Slobodan Janovovic, the respected liberal intellectual of the Democratic Party, has been appointed by the Provisional Government of the new Serbian Republic. Under the new government, Janovovic will help draft a new Republican constitution, reverse the political oppression of the Bolshevik Regency, and when the time is right, call fresh elections. Don't mistake the free liberalism for pacifism, however. Janovovic and allies are still staunch nationalists who want to see Serbia's old hegemony reestablished. So this is what he's going to look like, Slobodan Janovovic, and then this is basically you can go down this path and you can hold elections, which is pretty nice. So here's this event, the birth of the Serbian Republic. Today, Voivoda and Regent of the Kingdom of Serbia, Petar Božović, gave an important speech from the front of the National Assembly over the future of the nation. Waxing lyrical over the betrayal of royalist forces a fortnight ago, he proclaimed that if Serbia were to be strong enough to reclaim lost territories, they would be needed. Then change would be needed. It was then he passed over to Professor Slobodan Janovovic. Janovovic announced that he would be taking the helm of President of the new Serbian Republic, a fresh start for the unstable nation. A new constitution would be written, politically repressive laws would be overturned, and free elections would be held as soon as possible. In the meantime, a provisional bipartisan government under the National Council for Democracy would oversee the transition. The new president did show respect for the Bolshevik regime, claiming without the Voivoda's careful, pragmatic leadership in the early days of independence, Serbia could have easily been swallowed up by the Austrian menace. However, he claimed time has come for people to decide Serbia's path going forward. With Bolshevik retiring from political and military life, the reins have been passed over to the new optimistic Janovovic. Whether he can bring peace and stability to his new republic remains to be seen. So that's a bright new start. So that's the democracy. And then this is the regency. The regency basically continues. So, having seen the plots threaten his rule, the new Prime Minister of Milan Stanovovic alongside Regent Petar Božović oversees the formation of the Serbian Radical Union to solidify the previously ailing government. Božovic's main focus is on ensuring Serbian strength and stability over the coming years, while Stanovovic is focused on solidifying his new political movement's control over the nation. Like Alexander, Božović will give the military increased control over civilian affairs to strengthen Serbia for the conflicts to come. So, organized the Radical Union, which is basically the eternal regency under Božović. And then you get the green shirts, which is... This is actually quite good. It's basically military dictatorship. So, the Voivoda weathers the storm. It has been a chaotic few weeks, but with the new Prime Minister by his side, the regent Voivoda Petar Božović have consolidated the nation as an unquestioned authority in Serbia. Speaking in front of the National Assembly, flanked by Stodovanovic and a legion of loyal supporters, Božović has denounced the various plots and conspiracies that have attempted to undermine his rule. In addition, he has taken a populist move, no doubt advised by the new Prime Minister, and praised the resilience and unity of Serbian people in this time of unprecedented crisis. As we'd hoped, the industrialist ultimatum fell apart after it was clear that Božovic's regime had resolidified, and many people calling for his retirement have gone back to begging for mercy. The SKK Society has began directly criticizing the new government, but their misguided liberal ramblings to be silenced soon enough. The Regency survived the trials and tribulations of recent time, and now its full attention could turn outwards, towards our enemies. The status quo has been heard. So that's basically, this is going to take you through 1936, about 1937, and then you can, the Belgrade Pact, which is, of course, a major focus, and the Third Balkan War, or the Fourth Balkan War, third one being the Second Weltkrieg. Once a political path had been decided, Serbia has recovered from the aftershocks of Black Monday. The Congress of Belgrade will be available, setting off the war with Bulgaria largely as it is currently. As Serbia has been nerfed a little bit, expect the war to be a harder one overall. Once the war is won, however, new content opens up. You can further strengthen your Belgrade Pact allies through shared projects, but you'll need to deal with a resurgent VMRO, which could have devastating consequences if not done in a timely manner. So this is the Balkan Research Initiative. This is probably going to provide a lot of research bonuses, so you can invite Greece, Romania, the two members of the Balkan Pact. The Italian Republic can actually join the Balkan Pact, and so can Poland, which is pretty nice. And then this is the VMRO mobilizes, which is the Internal Macedonian Revolutionary Organization in what would be southern Serbia now, the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. Or North Macedonia, or some other name, depending on who you are. That region of the world. Will fill an older Serbian male with troubled thoughts. An ultranationalist revolutionary terror group, the VMRO has long fought for a Bulgarian Macedonia, with the brutal pre-Weltkrieg uprisings in Leiden and Tikovaris against any power that got in the way of their so-called liberation of the Macedonian region. Since the Weltkrieg, Bulgaria's hegemony in the region has seen VMRO grow into a form of limbo, fading into history with their goal achieved. But the recent reclamation of Macedonia has expected to be no difficult to consolidate, but today the National Assembly received word that the Bulgarian revolutionary Todor Alexandrov has restored the organization, declaring open war against Belgrade in the process. The group would no doubt in turn get clandestine support or allies from Bulgarian elements, which in turn will embolden their actions. If we do not crush them swiftly, military officials may warn the partisans may be beatable at all. Could have devastating consequences. I don't know. Maybe they'll break off. Maybe they'll join back with Bulgaria, which would suck as soon as after you won the Balkan War, the Fourth Balkan War. But Serbia can also call a second Congress of Belgrade as their attention towards north towards Austria. This will supplement the Romanian rework with the Transylvanian separatists, which is good because now Austria. I'll get into my thoughts afterwards. Let's just continue reading. Also allowing the player to hash out claims ahead of time, which will have no future consequences whatsoever. That kind of sucks. In the end, the player will have a decision to begin the march across the Danube. Note the old diplomatic focus has been transitioned into decisions, and commence the final showdown with Austria. If they succeed in consolidating control of their new land, something Alexander can do more easily because he's king, and the Yugoslavism thing, then all three paths can form Yugoslavia, which is nice. In addition, the new South Slavic Federation will either be able to join the Moscow Accord or the Entente, allowing them to get involved in the global affairs through the Second Weltkrieg. So, victory in the Balkan War. After years of planning and preparation, the combined forces of the Belgrade Pact now stand victorious over the Bulgar menace. No longer can the Bulgarians pressure us into doing their bidding, because we are now the masters of the Balkans. Our victory came at a cost, of course. Many brave men gave their lives to achieve a long-held dream, and it is their lives that we celebrate in this stunning victory. Yet, after reclaiming our rightful territories from the clutch of the Bulgarians, our mission isn't over. Austria stands firm to the north, oppressing their South Slavic population into doing the Habsburgs' bidding. This cannot stand. We must right the wrongs of the Weltkrieg and finally take revenge against Vienna, though to assure enough unity against the Belgrade Pact. A second Belgrade Congress will be held in the coming weeks, which is nice. And this is the road to unification. Basically, you could attack Austria. Looks like that you can, obviously, once you take over all these provinces, you can actually go ahead and form Yugoslavia. Looks like after the Fourth Balkan War, you're also going to occupy Bulgaria. You can end that anytime you choose. I'm assuming that there are going to be negative events for continuing, and then you can issue some kind of ultimatum, which I'm pretty sure that kicks off the Fourth Balkan War right there. And you can form Yugoslavia, and this is pretty nice. Serbia will now be known as Yugoslavia. And then you can form policy, you can join the Moscow Accord, you can join the Entente, and then you can purchase the HMS Lion, which was from Canada, which is pretty nice, beginning your navy. So, this is the political and diplomatic tree, as you can see. Return of Crown Prince. This is Alexander's path. You can the Voivoda, and you can continue with the just going down the normal the status quo path, and then the Republicans, which is pretty nice down here. And then you have in the middle the most interesting option, which is the Congress of Belgrade. You can address the Macedonians, promote Macedonian investment, and that will get rid of the terrorist group down there. Bulgarian Research Initiative, Balkan Research Initiative, which opens up the shared projects probably. Together Against Austria, looks like Poland and the Italian Republic can both join, which is pretty nice, and which is pretty nice because then Austria is going to be surrounded. Obviously, Serbia is going to want to form Yugoslavia. Romania is going to want to get back Transylvania, and with the last progress report was, of course, the Romanian one. And if you want to see more about how they fight Austria, go watch that video. Poland obviously going to try to take back Galicia, and Italy is going to try to take back their land, which is pretty nice. Austria is going to be a lot more harder to play, but it's going to be a lot more interesting. So are the Balkans. The Balkans are going to be so interesting now. Like, really nice now. So here's the economic tree, farming subsidies. I like that. Cow right there. Overhaul narrow gauge railways, railway stuff, economic relief. You can form the military council and try to overhaul your military and all that stuff. The Air Force tree, which it's just standard Air Force stuff, nothing really special. Naval/Montenegro tree. So here's the naval tree. Revive the Serbian Navy. And you can obviously build up your navy, and then you can integrate Montenegro, which is pretty nice. At the final point, Serbia has a new collection of portraits, and here's some of the new portraits, which is pretty nice. Thanks for reading this Minor Monday. Stay tuned for future PRs and Minor Mondays, as well as the upcoming 13 patch, which is going to be all about the Balkans. So, my thoughts on this? I would have liked a Serbian rework. I know some guy on Reddit a while ago proposed a massive overhaul to the Balkans to be more realistic. But honestly, I quite like this, the Serbian update. It's certainly going to make the Balkans a more interesting area to play with Romania and Serbia, and hopefully, the other Balkan countries get, if not total reworks, updates as well. And of course, Austria-Hungary is going to get a lot more interesting to play because you have all of these external threats now, with the Transylvanians and the Serbians and whatnot. And thank you all for watching. Please, if you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment. If you're on BitChute, like, subscribe, comment. Join the Discord server if you want to talk to me for some reason. I do live streams on YouTube and Twitch fairly often, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Goodbye.